Hey everyone, today we're going to give you 5 insider tips before you book your first cruise. Right after this. Hi everyone, John here from Bite Size Cruises. Welcome back to our channel. I'm at the home again. I need a way better background here. I understand that. Anyway, today we're going to give you 5 insider tips before you book your first cruise. Or any cruise. It doesn't even have to be your first. But today we're going to give you tips that maybe for some people are going to sound like common sense, but these are really important and things maybe you're going to learn the hard way. So number 1 is don't book direct. I mean, you could certainly book your cruise with the cruise lines. It's super easy, right? Doesn't take any effort. It's super simple to do. But here's the thing. If you book with a travel agent, you are going to find out that you're going to get some really interesting perks. Number 1, you're going to get somebody who really understands and specializes in cruise travel. I think that's really important, especially nowadays. There are so many little intricacies, especially with each different cruise line. Having someone who's truly an expert in anything that you do is, I think, really important. So not only are you going to get expertise, you're going to get maybe some insider deals, maybe some extra ship onboard credit. Maybe you're going to get some really good group rate. Some of the big cruise agencies buy a bunch of cabins as soon as they open up, so they get really good deals on group space. So with group space, you get onboard credit as well. So there's just some extra perks. So that's my little pitch to you as a travel agent. I did it before I was a travel advisor. I learned the hard way of not using a travel agent and booking directly through the cruise line and booking an agent. The other thing is, too, I had a really bad experience with an agent, which is part of the reason why we became travel advisors. So make sure you pick a really good agent. Do a lot of due diligence, talk to them, make sure they have expertise in what you're trying to do. So that's really important as well. So number 2, pick the best time to book. Everybody says to me, when's the best time to book a cruise? Technically, the best time to book a cruise is as far out as you can, right? So there's an old Japanese proverb, and the proverb is, when is the best time to plant a tree, right? And the answer is 20 years ago or right now, right? If you can't do 20 years ago, you gotta do it right now. So book as far out as you can. So if you can't book way far out, then book right now, get it done. Generally speaking, if you're just looking for a time of the year to actually book the cruise, the best time of the year is generally January to March, which is considered wave season in the industry. And that's generally when the cruise ships announce a lot of things, and that's when they have their best deals, right after Christmas. So those are things. Now, when is the best time to actually go on a cruise and get a good deal? That's called shoulder season. So picking like the outskirts of each of the things that you want to go on. As a general rule, right before Christmas, like December and January are really good months. Now, obviously not over New Year's or during Christmas. Those are both very busy weeks. But the entire month of December, the entire month of January, and February for the most part are pretty good months if you're going to the Caribbean. Now, if you want to book an Alaska cruise, you're going to have to do the very beginning of the season, like now, like the April-May area, right? When they're starting out, or the very end of the season, which is September, October, if you want to get a really good deal. Same thing with Mediterranean, right? You want to hit the shoulders, the very outskirts of when everyone else is going to be there, just like if you were going off-season to Disney or anywhere else. So the other thing to look for is, if you want a really good cruise deal, is look for repositioning cruises. So repositioning cruises are, for instance, we just sailed on the Meraviglia. We actually just missed the repositioning cruise. So we left out of Brooklyn. We were the first cruise on MSC Meraviglia out of Brooklyn. The last cruise before that was out of Port Canaveral, and what they did was they did a Caribbean cruise and then sailed up to New York. That cruise was really cheap, and it was like a 10 or 11-day cruise. So those are really interesting ones. Sometimes when they do like a Panama Canal, or if they're good, like transatlantic, sometimes wind up being cheaper because they're going from the Caribbean then over to the Mediterranean. So look for repositioning cruises as well. Number 3, please, please, please go all the way through the booking process, especially when you're looking at prices online. A lot of times you're going to see, and we talk to people all the time that this happens to, you see like cruise, a 7-day cruise starting at $394, and you're like, oh, that's awesome. And then by the time you get through it, it's $2,000 because of port fees and taxes and all the different things. And then all of a sudden you're booked, and then you go, okay, great, now it's $2,000, that's fine, it was still in my budget. then you're like, oh my God, this doesn't include drinks. So then I got to think, how much is the drink package? If you're going on Royal Caribbean, it's going to be 60 to 100 bucks a day. Same thing with Celebrity, right? Now, Norwegian and some of the other cruise lines will have packages where they offer, free at sea, where they'll give you some of these perks, but there's still a cost associated with that. So you really have to get all the information. Yet another good reason to use a travel agent. They're going to advise you as to what's actually a good deal and what's not a good deal. All while continuing, like if you want to go on Royal Caribbean or if you want to go on MSC or NCL, I'm going to give you the pros and the cons, but I'm still going to give you that information. So next up, number 4 is think about being loyal to a specific cruise line. I don't particularly do that because I like to go on all the different cruises. However, if you are loyal to Royal or anyone else, you're in their program, you're going to get really cool perks. Royal Caribbean has a really good one. For instance, if you are Diamond, you get 4 free drinks a day. Being Diamond, that saves me from buying a drink package. I don't really drink more than 4. There's no way I'll drink more than 4 drinks a day. So I get those 4 drinks a day. That's going to save me 700, 800 bucks a cruise if I was going to get the drink package. So now I don't feel bad. Now I'm going to have a drink or 2 instead of having to pay for those things. So think about that. You also get like laundry benefits, maybe some chocolates or champagne, maybe a bottle of wine. On the higher tiers of Norwegian, you get dinner for 2 with a bottle of wine and another dinner for 2. So there are all things to consider before you book a cruise, is maybe you should develop some type of loyalty. Also, MSC matches loyalty. So if you're high up on one cruise line, you really want to try MSC, you can bring that over. Last but not least, for me, is don't pick the latest and greatest ships. If you're trying to stay within a budget or really book something cool and interesting but not spend a lot of money, don't book Icon of the Seas right now, right? It's not even out yet. Don't book Utopia as soon as that comes out. Don't book Viva, NCL Viva. Don't book MSC World Europa or Euribia. Stick with older ships. Go on the Voyager class ships for Royal Caribbean. Go on some of the older MSC ships like Meraviglia is 6 years old. Go on Oasis of the Seas when it goes down to Florida. It's really expensive up in New York. But these are some tricks and tips for you to know before you book your cruise. And do a lot of research. I have one other bonus tip, and this is kind of goes across the field. Some people will disagree with me, some people will agree. There is value of really being stingy with your cabin choice. I would prefer to spend less money on my cabin and go on more cruises. If you cruise once every 2 or 3 years and you want it to be special and you want to stay in a balcony or a suite, that's great. If you're going to Alaska and you want that balcony experience, that's great. But think about it. If you stay in an inside cabin, how often are you really in the room anyway? Right? For me, being in an inside cabin not only saves me money, but it forces me to get out of the room. So those are some tips and tricks. Do you have any tips for first-time cruisers or for people before they book a cruise? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you found value in this video. If you did, please subscribe. We'd love for you to come along. We do a video every day. We release at 3 o'clock. Thanks so much. Have a great day and have a great weekend. Bye.